Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased to participate in this debate on animal sentience and the welfare of animals, secured by a petition of over 100,000 signatures, just as the debate on farm animals immediately after this debate did as well. And I thank the Honourable Lady from Bristol East for her comprehensive opening to this debate. Like probably every member in this room, I received a huge number of emails from my constituents in North Ayrshire and Arran about this. And I feel it's important to give voice to their concerns. Since I was first elected in 2015, I cannot recall any animal welfare debate in which I did not participate, from straightforward debates about animal welfare to puppy farming, microchipping cats, bans on ivory sales, the fur trade. The list is endless. But these matters are hugely concerning to those we represent, and these debates matter to them. And as we've heard today, animal sentience is a self-evident truth, and that's the case for all living creatures. And of course they feel pain, pleasure, distress, fear, and it's incumbent on anyone with an ounce of compassion or empathy to recognise this and act on it. But the self-evident truth of animal sentience means that as elected representatives, we act on that self-evident truth through legislation to ensure that the welfare of animals is protected to the fullest extent possible. And the Scottish Government has been recognised for doing this, has recognised the importance of this and has acted accordingly. There is some concern, and we've heard it touched on today, there is some concern about a reduction in animal welfare standards below EU common standards in the wake of Brexit. And I know that the Minister for Henley was quite irritated that that issue came up again. But it doesn't matter if it's inconvenient or irritating. The fact is that that fear persists amongst our constituents, and we do well to recognise their fears and address them as best we can. And in that spirit, I ask the Minister, I'm hoping the Minister will tell us how these concerns are completely unfounded and try to put to bed the ghost of chlorine-washed chicken that is very much in the public imagination. And it doesn't matter if that fear is real or imagined. What matters is that clearly, if it persists, it needs to be addressed further. And I'm hoping the Minister will be able to assuage these concerns suitably. Perhaps she can set out in her response what commitments her government will specifically make in this area to reassure those who are concerned that animal welfare standards may be sacrificed to whatever extent during trade negotiations. Of course, animal welfare is devolved to the Scottish Parliament, and the SNP Scottish Government has an excellent record in this area, which, in a variety of debates, some of which I've listed, I have heard members across this House and across party political lines recognising the SNP work in this area. The SNP's programme for government a few months ago set out a whole range of commitments to animal welfare, new commitments, not least commitments to maintaining EU animal rights standards as a minimum, and that there must be no compromise or diminution on these standards as trade talks proceed with the US. That is a genuine concern, and I know the Tory backbenchers and ministers may raise their eyes to heaven with impatience, but these matters are extremely important. I'm particularly pleased that the SNP Scottish Government is set to increase the maximum penalties for the most serious animal welfare offences to 5 years imprisonment and/or unlimited fines, as well as making changes to the maximum penalties for various wildlife offences. I will indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I put it to the Honourable Lady that maybe the SNP government is maybe following my example of leading the way and saying that we actually need to ensure that those who have committed the greatest crimes against animals should be punished to 5 years?
I thank the Honourable Gentleman for his intervention now, and I'm sure he'll correct me if I am wrong, and I may well be wrong, but I'm understanding that this is a new member to the House, a very welcome member, I'm sure, to his friends and colleagues. But this has been in the pipeline for the Scottish Government even before the Honourable Gentleman started his selection process, I am sure. But I pay tribute. Having said that, I pay tribute to the Honourable Gentleman for bringing the important matter forward for the UK Government, because, of course, the SNP measures sadly don't apply across the UK. So I'm sure that he will press and persuade his party of government to do the right thing in this matter, and for that he must be applauded. I will indeed.
Member for giving way, and I think the new member can perhaps be excused because he is very new, but we did spend quite a lot of time in the last Parliament debating increasing animal sentences, and I want to pay particular tribute to my former colleague, the member for Redcar, Anna Turley, who it was under the guise of baby's law, but it was about a bulldog in her constituency that had been appallingly treated and videoed while he was being abused. So a lot of the work has been done by Anna. I'm afraid that the new member may get most of the glory, but I don't want Anna to be forgotten.
I thank the honourable lady for sharing those points. And I would just say to the honourable member, and I won't call him a new member because, you know, we've said that enough, but I will say to him that I have been calling for maximum penalties for 5 years. Maximum penalties for 5 years since I was first elected in 2015. So I've even got a wee bit of a head start on him. And of course, we support each other in these efforts because, quite simply, it is the right thing to do. And in the new measures, other new measures taken forward by the Scottish Government in its programme for government is the issue of slaughterhouses. Now, 80% of slaughterhouses in Scotland have CCTV fitted, but despite that, this will become, in new measures brought forward in the Animal Health and Welfare Scotland Bill, this will now be a requirement for all slaughterhouses. Indeed, the first independent Animal Welfare Commission to be set up will specifically look at how the welfare needs of sentient animals are being met and what legislative and non-legislative measures can be implemented to improve this where required, and for the issue of animal welfare to proceed on an evidential basis. So, I don't think there's any dispute, Mr Chair, that animals are sentient beings. No one would deny this, no one seeks to deny it. Therefore, there is a responsibility on government, all governments, to recognise this comprehensively in both policy and practice through legislation. It is as simple as that, and I hope the Minister will seek to match the good work being undertaken by the Scottish Government in this area, especially as we negotiate trade deals post-Brexit, which is the kind of reassurance that she knows our constituents are looking for.